"Dude, you can sing really high." This is where my speech starts for a couple reasons. First, I figure I have to be the first teacher in Rivers history to start any kind of talk with the word dude. And second, because when I was 19, that sentence planted a seed in my mind. One that has changed the path that I've traveled throughout my life as I have sought and continue to seek fulfillment and joy. Let me back up. I went to high school in a very small town in southern Maine called Hiram, which I'm sure almost none of you have heard of. At my high school, I thought myself something of a good basketball player. I won't ramble off any self-glorifying statistics to you, like how I was twice voted all-conference, and one time I scored 31 points and 15 shots in the same game, because that would be really arrogant. The important thing for you to remember, lest you think I was actually a good basketball player, is that almost none of you had heard of the town I grew up in more than 45 seconds ago. It's not hard to look like a good basketball player in a town of 2,000 people, where basketball was less important than soccer, baseball, snowmobiling, hunting, fishing, four-wheeling, and cow tipping. I left Hiram at a very naive 18 years old and headed up to Waterville, Maine to attend Colby College, a small school of about 1,800 people. Immediately, I sought out the basketball guys to work out with and began to entrench myself in the program. I wasn't fully delusional. I knew I was far from the best player on the court, but it never occurred to me that I might not make the team. As you may have guessed, tryouts came around and I was cut. The coach told me that he hadn't seen enough from me to know that I could compete at that level. Still a little bitter, I guess. At the time, I was wrecked. I was shattered. I was devastated. If I wasn't a basketball player, I wasn't really sure who I was. Cut to a couple months later, and we reached the aforementioned dude sentence with which I began this speech. My buddy Ben Kerper and I were listening to Bon Jovi's classic rock anthem, Living on a Prayer, at a dance during the last week of school freshman year. And I was emphatically letting everyone know, in my hugest singing voice, that, oh, I was halfway there. And oh, I was, in fact, living on a prayer. And Ben looked at me and said, "Dude, you can sing really high." Ben was at the time the director of an a cappella group called the Colby 8. This group was of particular interest to me because my father, who also attended Colby, had sung in the Colby 8 in the 1960s. I had been to their shows during my freshman year, and though they seemed pretty dorky up on stage, I was impressed by, and if I'm being honest, more than a little jealous of, the music and the attention it garnered for them. Ben suggested that I try out at the beginning of my sophomore year. The idea percolated over the course of the summer months. My focus was still on basketball, but Ben's comment kept coming back to me. The fall came, and I was curious but equally hesitant to audition for the group. Why try something I had almost no shot of being successful at? I had never sung in public, well, aside from a dynamite Alanis Morissette impression on the soccer bus when I was feeling particularly punchy. And I was pretty sure I wasn't going to do it until Ben offered a deal. I would try out for the Colby 8, and he would try out for the basketball team. Why not? I thought to myself. I'll go sing for those losers who swayed all weird up on stage while they were oohing and eyeing behind some chump who was singing his heart out. Who cares? It was only a 15-minute audition anyway. The audition was on a Sunday morning, and I woke up in a full panic. These guys weren't losers. They were the best 7 or 8 singers on campus. I can still picture my roommate leaning back in his recliner and wistfully saying, "Women want them, men want to be them." Mustering up some courage I wasn't actually sure I had, I went to the audition. The guys in the group said, "Sing da-da," and I went, "Da-da," and they all went, and wrote down stuff on these really intimidating little pieces of paper. From there, I sang a solo for them. No music, no accompaniment, just me wailing away in a room with 8 other fellows who happened to be phenomenal singers. This still ranks as one of the scariest moments of my life. Then I left the room. It was over. I could go back to basketball and feel good knowing that I could get outside my comfort zone. I would be disappointed not to get in, but hey, at least I tried. A couple days later, I got a letter that said, "Dear Sam, we regret to inform you that your audition was very impressive. Unfortunately, we're going to have to offer you a position in the Colby 8. Yeah. After a few confused readings, I deciphered that I had, in fact, been accepted into the group. I ran back to my dorm to show my roommate the letter. Then I called home right away to share the exciting news and had a really cool moment with my father where he expressed how proud he was of me for taking a risk. He also expressed excitement at being able to share music with me, something that has been a major part of his life for close to 70 years. Another offshoot of my acceptance into the group was with a horrifyingly small amount of thought, I decided not to play basketball anymore. In retrospect, I can't begin to explain how transformative this decision was for me. My pre-sophomore year self and my post-sophomore year self would barely recognize each other. Instead of lifting weights, shooting jump shots, and running sprints, I was practicing arpeggios, trying to enunciate whatever syllable I was singing more clearly, and listening to try to understand triplets. I certainly found something I care about a great deal. I love music. I play drums, guitar, a smidge of piano. I still love to sing, and I am more passionate about music than most people think is healthy. I could talk for hours about my favorite band, Pearl Jam, but I'll spare you. However, this speech is not actually about what you may think it's about. I've heard a lot of speeches about finding one's passion and how important that is. And it is important, really important. But what I haven't heard many speeches about is regret, and that is what this speech is about. I really didn't think about how making the choice to quit basketball would affect me. Despite what I said before about not being that good, with a bit of hard work, I probably could have become a really good player. I was lazy, and more embarrassingly, I was scared to fail again. Essentially, I threw away something I had been dedicating my life to for the previous 10 years without wondering how I might feel about that loss later. I miss basketball a lot, still, and I have a real insecurity about not having played sports at a college level. So here's what I'm trying to impart to you. Finding one passion is great, and some people never have the chance to do that. We, here in this room, have tons of opportunities at our disposal in the forms of clubs, sports, dance classes, music groups, and other activities in which we all take part. Within the next few years, you'll be heading off to college. Make sure you're considering all the opportunities the schools you will attend have to offer. If I was at Colby again, I'd sing, I'd play basketball, but I'd also find about 10 other clubs to be a part of. There was a woodsman's team at Colby I wish I had joined. I should have been in a musical. I should have taken an art class. I should have taken a cooking class. I definitely should not have chosen to spend nearly so much time in my room playing NHL 95 on Sega Genesis. Okay, but here's the thing. There isn't anything inherently wrong with playing video games, and there isn't anything inherently right about deciding to play basketball. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that if you're like me, you may end up defaulting to not challenging yourself without really thinking about it because it's easy. In my life, I figured out that I enjoy trying to participate in as many activities as I can. Schools like Rivers and the colleges many of you will attend are specifically set up for you to find your passions. I didn't take advantage of that while I was in school, and I'll regret that forever. I'm still finding them now, but it's certainly harder because adult life is not designed to encourage you to explore new things that interest you. To finish, let me paint you a little picture. I'm sure that sometime in the next few years, when you're away at school, there will be a really interesting event on campus that you think you might want to go check out. A play, a speaker, a concert, something. You'll be in your dorm room. Maybe you'll have some friends around. Maybe it'll be snowing outside. Maybe your favorite episode of The Office will be about to rerun on TBS. I wouldn't judge you for a second for staying in and watching TV. I've made that choice many times myself. But it is a choice, and it's critically important that you realize you are making a choice by staying in your room. All I'm asking is that you think about it, because that speaker, who you may find interesting, will be gone the next day. Or, in my example, your opportunity to play basketball will be gone by the time you know you miss it. I wouldn't presume to tell you what decisions you should make, but what I have figured out is that if you let those moments and opportunities slip by without carefully considering the choice you're making, there's a good chance you'll regret it. So think about it. Thank you.